With a proven track record of scaling companies in high growth mode through an incredible combination of corporate finance acumen and people leadership skills, Melissa Howatson, Vena's CFO, is not one to rest on her laurels. Melissa shares her insights on climbing the corporate finance ladder, what it takes to become an effective and successful leader while balancing the needs of your team and the business, and why she finds inspiration from helping others move up and ahead in their careers. Did you always want to be or aspire to be a CFO, or how did you start your journey?
I did not always want to be a CFO or an accountant. I thought I wanted to be a teacher when I was younger. And so I actually did a co-op in teaching when I was in high school. And then I did one in accounting, and I was really torn. I didn't know which way to go. So I'm very happy that the journey's taken me down this path.
And when you think about that journey, is there anything that you would have done differently?
I started off my career after university with KPMG, and one of the things that I found when you're at that stage and it's a new job, you don't realize when you're working in consultancy, the ability you have to have a bird's eye view into so many different companies and what they're doing. After I left, I always wished that I'd paid more attention to the details while I had that opportunity to see so many companies. And it's sometimes in the little things about, well, how do they do X or Y? Or how did the people and culture team work with this team and some of those policies and stuff?
You know, it's really interesting you say that, because one of the things that I really enjoyed as I was becoming a CPA was when I went into audit, because then you do so many different things, different areas, and that's how you really start to build your leadership. So Melissa, how has the role of the CFO evolved or redefined over time?
So I think over time, the role has evolved away from just being stewards of the organization and more towards strategy. One of my mentors who one time said, being a finance leader is being a part of the team and apart from the team. And when he said that, it sort of took me back a little bit. I thought, well, what do you mean apart from the team? But I do think in that there really is that important piece of you are a part of the team and you're helping drive that team forward, and that collaboration is such a crucial part of what we do. But you also do have that requirement to help steward and look at things from maybe a different angle and question things, and a responsibility when it comes to controls and things, that you also have to stand sometimes apart from the team to keep that sense of independence and keep that perspective.
What does leadership in a finance org look like when you compare it across the org?
Within the finance team, it's often a little bit more disciplined, structured, a little more rigid, because you know the things that you're doing and you've got your systems and processes. But when you then start taking that out across the organization and how you're working with the rest of the organization, it's a little more flexible. It needs to be open, especially because I believe that to be a good, solid business partner, you have to build those relationships of trust. And that means being able to hear things that maybe at first you go, well, why are we thinking of that, or what are we doing? But you need a place where people can just openly talk about things and brainstorm their ideas, and it's a safe place to have those conversations. And so being able to be flexible as you're working with other parts of the organization, and also understanding what it is that they're trying to achieve and how you can help, and helping hopefully to pull some things together or share insights across the business that would help another part of the business if they knew something that you're able to see in another part of the organization.
And as a leader, maybe you can share some examples of how you communicate a difficult message to the business. That's often something we as finance have to do.
I love to solicit feedback if I do need to communicate what might be a difficult message. It's great when you can bounce that off of a few of your other trusted colleagues or people who work in communications to, okay, when you say this is what might be heard, and how I can refine that message so that it can be heard. Sometimes it's even as simple as acronyms. I've so many times communicated a message and then been poked by a coworker saying, oh, you said FX, and not everyone knows what FX is. And so make sure you're taking the time to explain so it doesn't start to sound like mumbo jumbo and the audience is glazing over.
And that's such an important thing in our tech world, right? Where there are so many acronyms and they change so quickly and so frequently. So Melissa, here's a great question. Who inspires you? And actually it's the second question as well. What's the best leadership advice you've ever received?
I've had the fortunate position of being able to work with a couple of different executives that inspired me along the way, a few COOs that I've worked with, where they've really taught me about prioritization and how to ruthlessly prioritize, thinking about what's in the A drawer, the B drawer, and the C drawer, and making sure that you're not working on the less important things at the sake of the more important things. I also get inspired by employees that are really looking to move their careers forward, or where I'm in that privileged position to have an impact on that.
What can someone do today to get onto the leadership track?
The most important thing is asking for it. If somebody aspires to be a leader or thinks maybe they will but doesn't know, ask for those opportunities to have those experiences. And it can be leading from the side. It can be, there's a project and can I be on this and take on a bit more of a leadership role? Because it doesn't always have to be formal leadership. Okay, now you're in this leadership training, but it can be getting those experiences to do that. And so definitely asking for it. I'd say finding mentors as well. Mentorship has been so key to helping me get where I am, and having those places where you can go and bounce those ideas off or get feedback from others. And so I'd encourage anybody, who's looking to move into leadership to look for some strong mentors, asking for feedback as well from a variety of people. And that can be scary sometimes for people, but those little ways of just finding little coachable opportunities to get more information to help yourself in your journey, I would encourage all of that.
Would you say that women have a tendency to not do those three things as well as men do? Asking, finding mentors, and then sometimes asking for difficult feedback.
I think we have to be a little more bold in pushing ourselves outside of that comfort zone and putting up your hand, and because sometimes it's just simple as letting your leaders or your P&C partner know that this is something you're interested in, so they can look for those opportunities, because otherwise they may just not realize as the projects come up or different things, different programs are running, that you would actually be interested. And I think also something we as women can do is make it clear when we're offering to be mentors, make it obvious to people that those opportunities are there, where they're looking for it, so that they know, like, hey, ask people, because they're usually very happy to do so. And then, the feedback, that one can be hard. And I'd say probably start with folks can give good constructive feedback and not be afraid of it. But I also find when you ask, people really take that seriously then, and they want to get better at giving feedback as well, because they want it to be productive. So it can help. It just helps to move things forward together, and can really help on your leadership journey.
Yeah, and I think it really helps when you ask for feedback after a specific event, because then you can tie it to that event rather than spinning out of control about it. So I definitely agree with you about getting feedback.
Yeah, it can be baby feedback, right? It's in lower stakes feedback. And like, in that meeting, what could I have done better? Or, this interview, okay, tell me where I went wrong. What could I have done better? That's the kind of stuff that just helps you get better every time.